In the case of conductors, when an electric field is applied, the electrons, which are the negatively charged carriers, they move in opposite direction to the electric field. Now the electrons start to move in this direction. Okay. Then what is the direction of the conventional current? The direction of the conventional current is so chosen, it is always in opposite direction to the flow of electrons. So electrons right in the left ge move ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, so conventional current na direction ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ, left ಇಂದ right ಗೆ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. It is always opposite to the direction of flow of electrons. Now we studied the derivation of J is equal to sigma into E, that relation. Now what is J? It is current density, that is current per unit area. Sigma, it is the conductivity, and E is the applied electric field. According to Ohm's law, the current flowing through a conductor is directly proportional to the potential difference across the ends of the conductor, provided the temperature and all other physical conditions are constant. Now based on that statement of Ohm's law, we have one relation. Now V is equal to I into R, where R is the constant of proportionality, and that we have called as resistance. And also we have obtained one more relation for resistance of a conductor. Now that is given by, it is equal to rho L divided by A, where rho is resistivity of the material, L is length of the conductor, and A is area of cross section. That we have already know. Now substitute this value in the above expression. I will get, now V is equal to I into rho L divided by A. Now let me define one quantity, that is I by A. I is the current and A is area of cross section. So that I by A, I will call it as current density. Current density, that is denoted by the letter J, that is equal to I by A is called current density. Current per unit area is called current density. It is a vector quantity. Current is a scalar quantity, but current density is a vector quantity. So therefore area is taken as a vector quantity in this case. Then obviously what is the SI unit? It is it is ampere per meter square, or we can write it as m to the power of -2 ampere per meter square. Now substituting this one here, what I will get? So therefore V is equal to, now I by A becomes J rho L. Now earlier we have studied in the previous chapter what is the relation between the potential and the electric field. If you take the magnitude, then electric field, magnitude of the electric field is equal to rate of is equal to V by L. V is the potential and L is the length of the conductor. Now based on that one, therefore V is equal to E into L. Now substituting that one in the above expression, I will get E into L is equal to J into rho into L. Now L get cancels. Therefore E is equal to J into rho. R, current density J is equal to 1 upon rho into electric field E. Now let me define one more quantity, that is 1 by rho. Now the rho is resistivity. 1 by rho, reciprocal of resistivity. That reciprocal of resistivity we call it as conductivity, and it is denoted by the letter sigma. Therefore J is equal to sigma into E, where sigma is 1 by is equal to, sigma is equal to 1 by rho is called conductivity. Conductivity of the material anta kariತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನ. So therefore J is equal to sigma into E, we have obtained that relation. Okay. Now this relation is similar to that of Ohm's law. Now this can be mentioned as another form of Ohm's law. Ohm's law ಅನ್ನು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲೂ ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತುಂಟು. Ohm's law ಪ್ರಕಾರ V is equal to I into R ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು J is equal to ಸಿಗ್ಮಾ ಇ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಬರಿತೇವೆ. ಇಫ್ ಐ ರೈಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಫಾರಮ್, ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಜೆ ಇಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಸೊ ಸಿಗ್ಮಾ ಇಂಟು ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ವಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ derivation for 3 marks. Now we will study the important concept of drift velocity. Now consider a conductor which contains capital N number of electrons. Now these electrons are in random motion. If V1 is the velocity of the first electron, V2 is the velocity of the second electron, V3 is the velocity of the third electron, and so on. Since they are in random motion, the average velocity of all the electrons is 0. Why it is 0? The electrons traveling in one direction have the same number of electrons traveling in the opposite direction. That we have already studied. ಯಾವ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಂಖ್ಯೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯೋ ಅದರ ಆಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. therefore ಅವು ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಆಡ್ ಅಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ 0 ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಇಫ್ ಐ ರೈಟ್ ದ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ velocities of all the electrons and I will take the average. Now this is the total Vi, sigma Vi, it is sum of all the velocities. If I divide it by the number of electrons, sigma Vi, it is the total of all the velocities of all the particles, and if I divide it by the number of electrons, then that gives the average velocity. Now that average velocity is always 0. ಯಾಕೆ 0 ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ತದೋ ಅದರ ಅಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇಮ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಆಬ್ವಿಯಸ್ಲಿ therefore the average velocity is 0. But the electrons are moving in random direction. If I write the diagram, now here while an electron is traveling, it is repeatedly colliding with positive ions. It loses its velocity. In the next moment, it gains its initial velocity, but direction changes. Now that we can simply now assume that it is moving in this direction. It's going to make a collision here. It changes its direction. It makes to go make a collision here, changes its direction. Now it's going to collide here and changes its direction. It's going to collide here. It changes its direction. It's moving like this. Now here it is going to make a collision and changes its direction. And this is. If I take this is the starting point A and the end point is B, this might be the path. ಈ ಪಾತ್ ಹೀಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ, ರ್ಯಾಂಡಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ಹೀಗೆ ಬಂತು. ಹೀಗೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎ ಇಂದ ಬಿ ಗೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ ರ್ಯಾಂಡಮ್ ಮೋಷನ್. ಓಕೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, if for that conductor if I apply an electric field ಅನ್ನು ನಾನು ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. As and when the electric field is applied, the electron gets accelerated. Now what is the acceleration of the electron? ಎಷ್ಟು acceleration ಬರ್ತದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ? So that we know by the simple relation A is equal to F by m. So F is equal to m into A relation ಇದೆ, ಅದರ ಮೂಲಕ acceleration A is equal to F by m. F is the electrostatic force ಆಗ್ತದೆ, m mass of the electron ಆಗ್ತದೆ. Now we are already familiar. F is equal to force is equal to Q into E, that we know. Charge multiplied by the electric field. But here we are using electron. Electron charge is minus E. Electron ಗೆ charge minus E ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ, so the electric field, now the force becomes minus E into capital E divided by m. Now this much of acceleration the electron acquires when an electric field is applied. Then what will be the path? Path ಏನಾಗಬಹುದು ನೋಡಿ ಅವಾಗ. It might be shifted. Starting in ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಡಾಟೆಡ್ ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೀಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಹೀಗೆ ಬಂದ ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೋ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ ಡಾಟೆಡ್ ಲೈನ್, ಮತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಲೈನು. It has been shifted. ಪಾತ್ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಹೀಗೆಲ್ಲೋ ಡಾಟೆಡ್ ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ it is getting some other position B dash. Instead of B, it is arriving at B dash whenever an electric field is applied, because it gets accelerated. Acceleration, I twist acceleration, ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. That is A is equal to minus of E divided by M ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. Now once again consider the ith particle. If Vi is the initial velocity of the ith particle, that is ith electron. Vi, it is the initial velocity after a certain collision. So electron is undergoing so many number of collisions. After a certain number of collisions, if Vi is the initial velocity of the electron and capital Vi, it is the velocity after a time Ti. ಒಂದಷ್ಟು collision ಆಗದೆ, collision ಆಗಿ next moment ಅಲ್ಲಿ initial velocity Vi ಆಯಿತು. Vi initial velocity ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮತ್ತೊಂದು ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಉಂಟು, ಇನ್ನೂ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ ಆಗೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ Ti ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಟೈಮ್ Ti ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ Vi ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ದೆನ್ ಬೈ ದ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ರಿಲೇಷನ್ ವಿ ನೋ V is equal to V naught plus AT. That relation we know. Kinematic equation ಗೊತ್ತುಂಟು ನಮಗೆ. So initial velocity, final velocity at a time T. By using that relation, if I write, I will get capital Vi. It is a velocity after time Ti seconds is equal to initial velocity Vi, acceleration as is given minus E divided by M. That acceleration I am substituting, and time it is Ti. So ಈ relation ಇಂದ ಈ relation ನನಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು. Now it is the velocity of the ith electron after a certain collision taken over before the next collision. Understood? Okay. Now this is the velocity of ith particle, ith electron. Then what is the velocity? What is the total velocity of all the particles ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಎಂತ ಮಾಡೋದು? ವೆರಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್. ಇದು ith ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ನ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು. ಇದನ್ನ ಸಮೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಟೋಟಲ್ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ. ಟೋಟಲ್ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ನಮಗೆ ಅದು ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸಿಗ್ಮಾ Vi. ಸಿಗ್ಮಾ Vi ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ Vi ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಈಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ Vi ಸಿಗ್ಮಾ ನೊಟೇಷನ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ minus E Ti divided by M. If I take the average, ಇದು ಟೋಟಲ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಇದು. If I take the average ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? I have to divide all the terms by n. Capital N ಇಂದ ನಾನು ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, if I take the average, it becomes 1 by n sigma capital Vi. That is equal to, so 1 by n sigma Vi minus M sigma 1 by n Ti. Sigma 1 by n Ti ಆಗ್ತದೆ. Now instead of writing this one, I will simply write Vi average. So instead of writing 1 by n sigma term, I am writing simply Vi average. Okay, that Vi average is equal to, it is small Vi average minus capital E divided by M. Now this time average, Ti average. I am writing simply Ti average. Now as we know, the average velocity, initial velocity of all the particles, that is taken as 0. ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ already, because random motion ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ. So this term becomes 0. Now I will write Vi average as some other term, that is Vd. Vd ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಬರಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ ಅದನ್ನ. That Vd is called drift velocity. ನಂತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡುವ ಅದನ್ನ. That is equal to minus E divided by M. Ti average, I will write it in another form, that is tau. I will write it as tau. That is average time interval. Tau is the average time interval ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Now let me define two quantities here. One is tau, average time interval. Now it is the average time interval between two successive collisions. ಒಂದು ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ ಆಗದೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ದಿ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೋಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನ ಟಿ ಅಂತಂದು ಹೇಳಿ ಕರೆದ್ರೆ ಒಂದ್ ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ ಇಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ಗೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ಗೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಕೆಲವು ಟೈಮ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೈಮ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ತಗೋಬಹುದು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟೈಮ್ ವೇರಿಯೇಷನ್, ಹೀಗೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಟ್ ಆಲ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್. So for that purpose we are taking the average time. The average time interval between two successive collisions, that time interval we call it as relaxation time. That we call it as relaxation time. Relaxation time anta kariತೀವಿ ಅದನ್ನ. The average time interval between two successive collisions is called relaxation time. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಕೊಲೈಡ್ ಆಗೋಕೆ ಎರಡು ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ ಆಗೋದ್ರ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾವುದು ಕೊಲಿಷನ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿ. ನಾವು ದಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವಲ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸೇಷನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡಿನೋಟೆಡ್ ಬೈ ದ ಲೆಟರ್ ಟೋ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. Now this is Vd, drift velocity. Therefore the drift velocity of the particle or the electrons is given by E tau divided by m. E tau divided by m ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. Now let me define that drift velocity. ಅದನ್ನು ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡುವ. It is average velocity with which electrons are drifting in a conductor in the presence of an external field. Once again, drift velocity is the average velocity with which electrons are drifting or moving in a conductor in the presence of an external field. That is the relation Vd is equal to minus E tau divided by m. Now you obtain an expression for electric current in a conductor in terms of drift velocity. Expression for current in terms of drift velocity. For that one we will consider a conductor. We have taken a conductor of length delta x. Now it is, since it is a metallic conductor, the free charge carriers are the electrons which are negatively charged. Now we have applied an electric field in the direction from right towards the left as shown in the diagram. As and when the electric field is applied, what happens? The electrons gets accelerated in the right side direction. Electrons starts to move. Now electrons are moving from left to right. What about the direction of the conventional current? It is from right to the left ಆಗ್ತದೆ. Now that conductor is having capital N number of electrons. Assume. Okay. Let small n is the electron density. What is the meaning of electron density? It is the number of electrons per unit volume. Small n is number of electrons by volume, per unit volume. Unit volume alli electron ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ small letter n ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, then what is the total number of electrons in the entire conductor? Entire conductor ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿರ್ತದೆ? That should be the total electrons ಇದು number of electrons per unit volume. Total electrons ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ number of electrons per unit volume multiplied by volume of the given conductor. It is the volume of the conductor. Now how can you calculate the volume of the conductor? It is very simple. So number of electrons is here. Now volume is area, this circular area multiplied by length of the conductor. Circular area multiplied by the length of the conductor. Circular area is A. surface area, and length is delta x. Now this gives the total number of electrons in that conductor. Now these electrons are drifting with a drift velocity Vd because of the applied electric field. Electric field ಅನ್ನು ಅಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿಂದ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಡ್ರಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರುವಾಗ್ತದೆ ವಿತ್ ಎ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ಡ್ರಿಫ್ಟ್ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ Vd ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ಅವು ಡ್ರಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರುವಾಗ್ತದೆ. Then what is the total distance traveled from one end to the another end by the electron? Electron ಒಂದ್ ಎಂಡ್ ಇಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ ಎಂಡಿಗೆ ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಟ್ರಾವೆಲ್ ಆಯ್ತು, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಲೆಂತ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟರ್, ಡೆಲ್ಟಾ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ Vd into delta t ಅಂತ ಬರ್ದ್ವಿ. How we have written? Very simple. Velocity is equal to displacement divided by the time taken. We know that one. Therefore, what is x? Displacement is equal to v into t. V ಏನು, that is drift velocity. Therefore, Vd ಬಂದದೆ. t delta t time ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದ್ ಎಂಡ್ ಇಂದ ಇನ್ನೊಂದ್ ಎಂಡಿಗೆ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ತಗೊಂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಟೈಮ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. So therefore, here delta x is replaced by Vd into delta t. Now here Vd we have taken only the magnitude. Magnitude ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ತಗೊಳ್ಳುವ drift velocity magnitude of Vd into delta t. Now this expression gives the total number of electrons. Then what is the total charge moving from left to right? ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಂತ ಮಾಡೋದು? ಅದು very simple. ಈ number of electrons ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, if I multiply it by its charge of the electron, charge of the electron ಇಂದ ನಾವು multiply ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಅವಾಗ ಇದೇನಾಗ್ತದೆ, total charge moving from one end to the another end. Total charge in motion is equal to ಇದು number of electrons multiplied by charge of one electron, that is E. So n E, I am multiplying it by, so E n A. Now this is the same Vd into delta t. Charge is E. Okay, so it is minus E. The charge is minus E because charge of the electron is negative. Since the charge is negative, what is the direction of the conventional current? It is always in opposite direction to the flow of electrons. Look here, electrons are moving from left to right. Since the charge of electron is negative, therefore the total charge moving is this quantity with a negative sign. I want the charges moving in the direction of the electric field. Now these electrons are moving in opposite direction to the electric field. Electric field ಹೀಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ, electrons ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೀಗೆ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು opposite ಆಗಿ. ಬಟ್ ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋದೇನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೋಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಹೌ ಮಚ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಆರ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಬೇಕು ನಂಗೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಆಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಪೋಸಿಟ್ ನಾವು ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ therefore the total positive charges moving in the field direction ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ವೆರಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್, the total charges moving in the direction of the electric field, ಸೇಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಷನ್, ಮೈನಸ್ ಇದ್ದವನು ಏನಾಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಆಬ್ವಿಯಸ್ಲಿ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೈನಸ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡ್ವಿ. ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಗೆ ಆಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಮೂವ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಬರೇ ಸೈನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಚಾರ್ಜಸ್ ಆರ್ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್. E n A Vd into delta t. Okay. Now by the definition of electric current, what is electric current? The electric current I is equal to, it is Q by T, simple definition ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತುಂಟು. So based on that one, what is Q? Then obviously what is Q? That is I into, ಈ ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು delta t ಅಂತಂದು ಹೇಳೋದನ್ನ ಬರಿಬಹುದು. Therefore charge moving in the positive direction, that is in the field direction, if I write it is I into delta t. Charge is equal to current multiplied by the time delta t into E n A. So it is Vd into delta t. That is the expression. Now delta t get cancels. Therefore, the expression for current in a conductor in terms of drift velocity, I will rearrange the terms n E A Vd. That is the magnitude. That is the expression for an electric current in the case of a conductor in terms of drift velocity of the electrons. So ಈ ಫಾರ್ಮುಲಾ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಡ್ರಿಫ್ಟ್ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ವರ್ಕೌಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. Now one more important derivation of sigma is equal to ne square tau divided by m, that is expression for conductivity in the case of a conductor. For that one, we will consider a simple diagram here. A conductor of length delta x, area of cross section A. Whenever an electric field E is applied, the electrons gets accelerated as shown in the diagram. And we have already obtained the expression for current in that conductor in terms of drift velocity. The expression for electric current in the conductor in terms of drift velocity is given by N E A into Vd, drift velocity. Magnitude, it is the magnitude Vd. Now what is N? It is number of electrons per unit volume. Number of electrons per unit volume. E, what is E? It is charge of the electron. Charge of electron. A, it is the area of cross section. Area of cross section. What is obviously Vd? It is the drift velocity. We are taking only the magnitude. Magnitude anna alli tagolba ಹೇಳಿ. We know this relation. And also we have derived one more expression for drift velocity. What is the expression for drift velocity? It is E tau divided by m. We are taking only the magnitude. That's why we are neglecting the minus sign. So minus sign annu neglect madkondre. So the expression for drift velocity is equal to E, charge of the electron, capital E, the applied electric field, tau, relaxation time. So tau is relaxation time. What is that relaxation time? The average time interval between two successive collisions. ಎರಡು collision ಆಗೋದ್ರ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತದಲ್ಲ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್, ನಾವು ದಟ್ ಆವರೇಜ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸೇಷನ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಂತಂದೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಕರಿತೇವೆ. Now substitute this relation in the expression for current. What I will get? So I will get now I is equal to NEA Vd. Vd is this one, magnitude ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, E tau divided by m. That we know. E tau divided by m. Now here, carefully look here. Now cross multiplying the area, what I am going to get? I by A, that is equal to N E into E, that is E square tau divided by m, and I am writing electric field in the last one. Now we are familiar with what is I by A, current per unit area. That current per unit area we have already defined it as current density. It is defined as current density J ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡಾಗದೆ. Therefore I by A is equal to J. So N E square tau divided by m into E. Now carefully look here. Now this term is a constant one. Now this expression is similar to that of J is equal to some constant into E, that is the alternate form of Ohm's law that we have already derived. J is equal to sigma E, where sigma is called as conductivity. Sigma is called as the conductivity of the conductor. Now comparing these two relations, if you compare these two relations, I am getting the expression for conductivity. Sigma is equal to is N E square tau divided by m. Now that is the final expression for conductivity of a conductor. sigma is equal to n e square tau divided by m. Simple derivation. Next concept, mobility of an electron. Now, mobility of an electron is defined as the ratio of drift velocity per unit electric field. The ratio of drift velocity per unit electric field is called mobility of an electron, and it is denoted by the letter mu. So therefore, mu is equal to, so magnitude of the drift velocity divided by the electric field. That ratio we call it as mobility of the electron. Now from this relation, what is the SI unit? The SI unit is meter square per volt second. Now we are already familiar with the expression for drift velocity, that is magnitude of drift velocity Vd is equal to E tau divided by m. Therefore mobility is given by mu is equal to, so magnitude of the drift velocity divided by the electric field. Now if I cross multiply this electric field here, the remaining term is E tau divided by m, and that quantity we call it as mobility of an electron. Now we study what are the limitations of Ohm's law. Now the first limitation of Ohm's law is, now this Ohm's law is applicable only for a particular range, moderate range of temperatures. That means it is not applicable in the case of very low temperature and very high temperatures. Ohm's law, it is not applicable at very low temperatures and also very high temperatures. It is only applicable, or it is only true in the case of a moderate range of temperature. The meaning is very simple. We know that voltage and current are directly proportional according to Ohm's law. V proportional to, that is I. But at very low temperatures and very high temperatures, now this proportionality does not holds good. That is the first limitation. And the second limitation, it is applicable only for ohmic devices and not applicable for non-ohmic devices. It is applicable only in the case of an ohmic device. Then what is a ohmic device? The device which satisfies this Ohm's law, that means the current and voltage are directly proportional. Those devices we call it as ohmic devices. Best example, ammeter, voltmeter, and these are the best example for ohmic devices. Then Ohm's law is not applicable in the case of certain devices in which voltage and current, they are not directly proportional. There is no linearity in the IV characteristic curve, and those devices we call it as non-ohmic devices. The best example for non-ohmic device is diode, that you will study in the semiconductor chapter, diode. If I write the characteristics of a diode, now look here. Now if I write the characteristics of a diode, forward bias and as well as reverse bias. Now in the case of a forward bias, initially the current is 0 and it goes on increasing and shoots up. Now if I take, this is the voltage and this is the current. Now in the starting you are increasing the voltage, but the current is 0 up to a particular voltage, that we call it as barrier potential. After the barrier potential, the current starts to increase. Now look here in the graph, voltage and current are not linear. In the case of an ohmic device, this voltage and current are linear. If this is the voltage and this one is the current, then it is simply a linear, it is a straight line. But in the case of a non-ohmic device, the IV characteristic is not at all linear. Here we can find same value of current for a longer range of voltage, or same value of voltage for a longer range of current. The meaning, ನೀವು ವೋಲ್ಟೇಜ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದ್ರು ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ 0 ಇದೆ. ಯಾವುದೋ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ವೋಲ್ಟೇಜ್ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ದಟ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಡೌನ್ ವೋಲ್ಟೇಜ್ ಆರ್ ಥ್ರೆಶೋಲ್ಡ್ ವೋಲ್ಟೇಜ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟೇ ವೋಲ್ಟೇಜ್ ಅನ್ನು ರೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕರೆಂಟ್ ರೈಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ವಿನಃ ವೋಲ್ಟೇಜ್ ರಿಮೇನ್ಸ್ ಎ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ therefore IV characteristic for the case of an non-ohmic device is not at all linear. Now this is forward bias. If I write the reverse bias, there also we are having this type of curves. It is not linear. It is not linear. Therefore, Ohm's law is not applicable in the case of a non-ohmic device such as semiconductor devices, diode, transistor, etc. And third one, in the case of a gallium arsenide, it is a semiconductor material. There also we are getting a same amount of current for a longer range of voltages. Longer range of voltage ke same amount of current namage barta hogtade. So IV characteristic anna nenatra barre. This is I and this one is V. I will get a characteristic curve for the case of a gallium arsenide. Gallium arsenide case alli, that is gallium arsenide case alli. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, I am getting a constant current for a longer range of voltages. So these are the limitations of Ohm's law. It is not applicable at very low temperature and very high temperature, and it is not applicable in the case of a non-ohmic devices, that is diode and transistor. In the case of a gallium arsenide, we are observing a same value of current for a larger range of voltages. Up to this voltage range, I am observing the same value of current. Now that is the limit. These are the limitations of Ohm's law. Now we will classify the materials into conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. First one is conductors. The materials whose resistivity, we are classifying these materials on the basis of resistivity. First one is conductors. The materials whose resistivity lies in the range of 10 to the power of -8 ohm meter to 10 to the power of -6 ohm meter are called as conductors. The best example are copper. It is having a resistivity of 1.7 into 10 to the power of -8 ohm meter, and aluminum is another conductor. It is having a resistivity of 2.7 into 10 to the power of -8 ohm meter. Silver, constantan, manganese. Now these are all the example for the conductors. Their resistivity is very low. Next is insulators. The materials whose resistivity is 10 to the power of +18 times more than that of the conductors. It is 10 to the power of +18 times more than that of the conductors, and those materials are called as insulators. So therefore, the range of the resistivity for the case of insulator becomes, it is 10 to the power of +10 ohm meter to 10 to the power of +12 ohm meter ಆಗ್ತದೆ. The best example ceramic, plastic, and rubber. Now another type of materials are there. They are called as semiconductors. Now these are the materials whose resistivity lies between those of conductors and the insulators. So best example we are having germanium, silicon, gallium arsenide, etc. Now these are the materials whose resistivity lies between those of conductors and the insulators. Now we will study resistors. What is a resistor? It is a device which controls or opposes the flow of current in an electric circuit or electronic circuit. The opposition to the flow of current is called as resistance, and its SI unit is, we are already familiar with that one, that is ohm. Now we will study types of resistors. So So one is wire bound resistor and second type is carbon resistors. Now wire bound resistor, it is a resistor obtained by winding the wires of an alloy like manganese, constantan, nichrome. Why we have chosen these materials? Their resistivity is varies very little with respect to the temperature, or simply we can say that resistivity is almost independent of the temperature. Because of that reason, we are choosing manganese, constantan and nichrome for the wire bound resistors. Their size is very large, but they range from a fraction of ohms to few hundred ohms. Let me show one type of carbon wire bound resistor. Now this is the resistance box that we are going to use in the laboratory. Now this is a wire bound resistor. Inside of it we are having an alloy of wire alloy which is wounded to have that value. Since these resistors are larger in size and value is very small, we require another type of resistor that is called as carbon resistors. Now these resistors are compact, small in size and economically cheaper compared to that of wire bound resistors. We are extensively using these resistors in all electronic circuits. Since they are small in size, their values can be identified by the set of coaxial rings or bands on its surface, and those set of coaxial rings on the surface of the carbon resistors are called color coding. That we call it as color coding. A color coding based on value of the resistors find out. Color coding of resistors. Now these resistors, carbon resistors, they are small in size, therefore their values can be found by using color coding on its surfaces. Now what is a color coding means? It consists of a set of coaxial rings whose significance values are given as shown in the table. The first two rings signifies the first two significant digits of the resistor. The first two rings from one end signifies the first two significant digits of the resistor in ohm, and the third band signifies the decimal multiplier. Decimal multiplier means it is the 10 to the power of some value depending on the value of the color. And the fourth band, it represents the tolerance. Tolerance means the possible variation in the value of the resistor with respect to the temperature. Clear? Now, if I have a resistor like this, I have a resistor. Now, these are the terminals for the external circuit connection. Now, I am having first band is white. First band is white, and second band I am having yellow. Second band is yellow, and if I have a third band blue, third band blue, and fourth one is I will take it as silver. I will take it as silver. Then what is the value of this resistor? Now the arrangement, if the color coding is like this, from which side you are going to find the values? Now look here. Now this band is very nearer to this end, and this band is little bit far away. Therefore, we have to count the band system from the end to which these bands are very close, nearer. Now I have to start counting from this one. So since the first one is white, for the white, the significant value is 9. It is 9. Second color is yellow. For yellow, the significant figure is 4. Therefore, first two values becomes 94. 94 ಆಗ್ತದೆ. Now the third band is blue ಇದೆ. Now blue is 10 to the power of 6. Therefore, it is the decimal multiplier. 10 to the power of blue color value, that is 6. Now the fourth band, it is silver. I am having it is plus or minus 10% variation. Therefore, the value of the resistor becomes 94 into 10 to the power of 6 plus or minus 10% ಆಗ್ತದೆ. Or I can take it as 10 to the power of plus 6 is nothing but mega ohm, plus or minus 10% variation in the value of the resistor. Like this, we are going to get the color coding. Now, how do you remember these values? Now, in order to remember these values for the different colors, we are using this simple sentence. B.B. Roy goes to Bombay via Gateway of India. Now here B, take the first one black, therefore 0. Next comes brown, it is 1. Next red, it is 2. Orange 3. Yellow 4. Now goes here green, green is 5. And here capital B, that is Bombay, in that blue color we will identify blue color, that is 6. And here we will find out violet 7. Now in the gateway we are having two colors, G, that is gray 8, and white, that is 9. Like this we can easily remember the value of the codings. Now this is the decimal multiplier. In the decimal multiplier, if we found gold, silver and no color, if it is gold, it is 10 to the power of minus 1. If it is silver, it is 10 to the power of minus 2. Okay. So there is no color in the third. There should be a third band. Okay. Now in the fourth band, if the fourth band is gold, we have a 5% tolerance, and it is silver 10% tolerance, and no color, it is 20% tolerance. Now let me study one more example. Okay. Now I have red, no color. I have this color coding. What is the value of the resistor? Okay, we will find out the value of the resistor. Okay, or resistance R is equal to. Now this is the first band, red, its value is 2. Second band, red, value is 2. Third band, it is also red. It is the decimal multiplier, 10 to the power of plus 2. And fourth band, it is no color. It is a tolerance of 20%. So therefore, let me take this one is equal to 22,200 plus or minus 20%, or 2.2 plus or minus 20% kilo ohm. 2.2 kilo ohm. The value of the given color coding resistor becomes 2.2 kilo ohms. So one more example. Now this is the first example, and this one is the second example. We are taking the third example. One more third example. Now if I have orange, blue, yellow, gold. Orange ide, blue ide, yellow ide, gold ide. What is the value of the resistor? Now first band is orange, obviously it is 3. Second band is blue, it is 6. Then it becomes 36. Then we have a decimal multiplier for the yellow. Now yellow is 10 to the power of 4. Now plus or minus gold, it is 5%. Therefore the value of the resistor is equal to 360 into 10 to the power of 3 plus or minus 5%, or 360 kilo ohm. We can take it as we can write it as 360 kilo ohm. Now we will find what is the value of these resistors which are having the color coding brown, black, gold, gold, and green, blue, red, gold, green, red, blue, no color. Okay, let me take the first one. Now brown. For brown, the first significant number, that is 1. Black, it is 0. Now third band, it is a decimal multiplier. Since it is gold, we are having 10 to the power of minus 1. Decimal multiplier for gold is 10 to the power of minus 1. And the fourth band is also gold. Its tolerance is 5%. Its tolerance is 5%. So therefore, the value of the resistor R is equal to, it is 10 into 10 to the power of minus 1 plus or minus 5%. 10 into 10 to the power of minus 1, it is becomes 1. It is 1 ohm plus or minus 5%. The value of that resistor. Now the fifth one. Now first band is green. For green, the value is 5. Blue, it is 6. And red, it is 10 to the power of 2. It is a decimal multiplier, 10 to the power of plus 2. And gold, once again, it is 5%. So therefore it is 5, 6. This becomes 56. Value of the resistor is 56 into 10 to the power of plus 2 plus or minus 5%. Or it is 5600 ohms plus or minus 5% tolerance. Clear? Okay. Now next one is green. For green, we are having 5. Red, it is 2. Then blue, it is 6. 10 to the power of 6. And no color, the tolerance is 20%. No color, tolerance is 20%. So let me write here. Now R is equal to, it is 52 into 10 to the power of 6 plus or minus 20%. Okay. R, it is equal to 52 mega ohms. We can write it as 52 mega ohms with a tolerance of plus or minus 20%.